My career path is really largely one of trying to recognize and seize opportunities. I've decided the first semester I was in graduate school here in the Boston area at Harvard, I was really dying to get out and start working. And so what I did was I applied for a Ford Foundation funded internship through a combination of networking connections that got me to the State House here in Boston. And I had several wonderful years working as a staff person for some of the major committees in the state legislature. And the artful part, which I think is really important for any young woman to know, I went back to school, but I didn't go to a lot of classes. I wrote a lot of term papers, ran seminars on the subjects that I was working on in legislation. And so I did a hybrid model between graduate school and having full-time employment. And I continued that right through a doctoral program here at MIT. So I began working 1 year out of college, even though I was halfway through a master's program. And I continued to use a combination of working full-time and translating it into doctoral theses and so forth, so that I got full credit and recognition, particularly in resume building, that I might not have gotten if I had just had the title of the position that I held at work. After undergraduate school, I first worked in the public sector for 10 years, both in state legislatures and in public regulatory positions. And in the close of that 10 years, I felt like there wasn't tremendous job opportunity for me further in that arena. Part of it was the national political scene at that point. And I thought long and hard about what I had accomplished and learned in the public sector. This was an era when business school really was not an open option for young women. They had quotas of as low as 10%. And basically the interview process there went something like, you're just here to shop for a husband. So most of my finance learning had been literally on the job or in some of the more academic graduate programs I'd been in. And so I started a 6-month search working with unemployment and trying to figure out how to break through to what was basically a very discouraging world for any young woman. At that point, I was approaching 30. And I landed a job at an investment firm, Wellington Management, in large part because there were 4 founding partners there who all thought that they had a gold mine in all of the talented and highly educated young women in the Boston area whom their competitors wouldn't hire. And that began a terrific 25-year plus quarter of a century history in which I started out building a high-yield credit group and grew that business to a multi-billion-dollar business, and then moved over into the global equity arena, where the firm had been U.S. equity focused and was really starting to expand its clients with major clients like the government of Singapore, a number of large financial institutions in Japan, and so forth. And the last 15 years I was at Wellington, I was really a global equity and special sector portfolio manager and helped to run what at that point had become a several hundred professional research operation. Wellington today is over $1 trillion under management. When I started, it was $4 million. I think what I would most want any young girl to understand, I hope I've been able to encourage my own children and grandchildren to understand, is that there is no linear path likely for a successful career.